Alright guys, I know you guys have been waiting for this one. This is Dior's Tobacolor. I've been waiting for it, and I was gone for about a week and a half, maybe 2 weeks, I can't remember now. But this was delivered, so as soon as I got back, I started wearing it, and I've got all the scoop on Dior's latest Maison Christian Dior fragrance, or Dior Privé fragrance, called Tobacolor. So according to Dior's website also, this is an exclusive to online. So if you want to find out about Tobacolor today, then please stay tuned. Thanks so much for tuning in. This is Sebastian with Smelling Great Fragrance Reviews. Yes, Tobacolor is out finally. And, you know, I'm enjoying this one. This one's actually pretty solid for a release, and it reminds me of a couple of other fragrances, which I'm going to let you know about. But I think this is definitely not for the coming seasons, but come fall and winter, I think it's going to be solid. But I'll let you know all about Tobacolor by Dior. But if this is your first time tuning into the channel and you still haven't subscribed, please do click the subscribe button below, and also click the bell so that you'll be notified for future videos and giveaways. So who is a fan of the Maison Christian Dior collection of fragrances? The Dior Privé collection of fragrances, their exclusive lineup of fragrances. I'm a fan. I like a lot of their fragrances, although there's been a lot of rocky releases recently, or as of late, but this one's pretty solid. It reminds me of two fragrances I have worn or I'm still wearing. Also reminds me of a few of the previous Dior Privé or Maison Christian Dior fragrances, and which is fine because this does go in a different direction, but I kind of get hints because I've been doing this hobby for a while. It reminds me of other fragrances. So Dior's Tobacolor, this one right here, is a 2021 launch. As I said, it says exclusive on their website. I'm not sure how exclusive it is, but I know our Neiman Marcus doesn't have this one. Here, it's considered an Oriental fragrance. Eau De Parfum concentration, 250 ml bottle is $350. And just so you are aware, the price for these at 250 ml were $320. So there has been a $30 price hike on these fragrances. So the price has gone up. But still, when you compare them to something like Tom Ford's Private Blend collection, Chanel's Less Exclusives collection, these are a much better value, I think, in comparison to those or other exclusive lineup of fragrances. So this one features notes of honey, tobacco, plum, smoke, peach. So those are the notes that I was able to pull off of their website, because they don't really display a notes breakdown on Dior's website. But this is kind of what they were mentioning was featured in the notes. And you do experience it. In fact, I mean, this is actually quite a sweet release for anything that I've experienced from this house. Probably, it's even sweeter to me than something like Fève Delicious, which is my favorite release from this house. This one kind of comes close to it. It really does. But still, I think Fève Delicious is a little better for me. And in comparison to that fragrance, which both are sweet, but this is being sweeter, and I think what really makes this one ultra sweet is the honey. It's an overload of honey, and it really makes it for a syrupy sweet experience. Even though, according to the notes, there's the tobacco and the smoke. It's very, very syrupy sweet and also ambery. No vanilla here. I get traces of some vanilla. Of course, I get lots of amber with this one. But, you know, if they didn't feature or had the notes, the smoky notes in here, or the tobacco, this thing would be screaming like tooth-rottingly sweet experience, because it is ultra, ultra sweet. And when you add the fruits to it, the fruits of the plums and the peaches, you're almost getting like a fruit compote drizzled with honey and just macerated, kind of, you know? That's kind of what the experience is. So it's overly sweet, but when you first spray it, I kind of immediately remember a fragrance I wore back in the early 2000s from a house called Michael Kors, the tobacco fragrance, Michael. I still have my bottle. I should have brought it so I can show it on camera, but it's at home. I have a vintage bottle from 2001, which is when that one came out, and I still have, and you know, pull for occasionally because I store that fragrance away. But it reminds me of that fragrance. It hints at it for sure, because that one's tobacco, obviously. And this one actually is reminding me of that, but this is so sweeter, so much sweeter than that, you know, it kind of crosses out that reminder of that fragrance or the hint of that fragrance. But still, it's there. It's definitely there, whereas Michael from Michael Kors is a male-targeted fragrance. Here we have a unisex-targeted fragrance. So I think definitely it's a little different. As the fragrance is drying down, though, it starts becoming like milk syrup, like milk honeyed syrup. And it starts reminding me of Lubin Korrigan. I don't know if you guys have ever worn that fragrance, but a lot sweeter, once again, a lot sweeter version of that fragrance. Whereas that one is a musky, milky caramel experience. It's lactonic, and here, even though I don't consider this a lactonic experience, meaning it doesn't have milkiness, but I get a milk syrup experience. It's almost like under there I'm experiencing like this milk that's mixed with like some kind of a sweet syrup, and you know, whatever you're left with is what your fragrance is drying down to. That's what I'm experiencing with this one. So I mean, I love sweet fragrances, don't get me wrong. This is one of my favorite styles of fragrances, and if it's tobacco, I even like it more. You do experience tobacco in here, but it's not an overdose of tobacco. In fact, I think when I'm wearing it, I get more of the smoke experience rather than the tobacco experience, because the smoke is definitely distinguishable. It stands out. You can totally pinpoint it. The tobacco, with its grassy woodiness, is a little more complicated. And then also with the tobacco, I feel like I'm getting burned tobacco or ashy tobacco in addition to like leafy, grassy, woody tobacco with the leaves. Perhaps there's a little bit of a floral tobacco touch in here as well. Not a lot. But I feel like I'm getting a combination of both smoky, ashy tobacco with leafy, grassy, earthy tobacco in conjunction. But I think either way, my nose could be playing tricks on me, and the smoke is reminding me of ashy tobacco, because obviously there's smoke in here, and I feel like the smoke is a lot more stronger than the tobacco note itself. But in the end, it could be the ashy tobacco, it could be the smoke, whatever it is, you definitely experience it here. But I think the idea behind the fragrance, Tobacolor, with all the colors of the, you know, the fruits and things like that, and the warm and everything, because it's a very warm experience. It's a warm and spicy experience. I get some spices in there, but you know, they're not crediting actual spices, and they're kind of non-distinct spices in the end. Could be something cinnamony, could be something nutmeggy, a light cardamom-y, and things like that. But in the end, I feel like they're really nondescript spices. But you do experience a warm, spicy experience with this one. So in the end, it's overly sweet, smoky tobacco, very syrupy, loads of honey, overdose of honey. It's warm, it's spicy, and definitely fruity. The fruits are there, and as I said, fruit compote drizzled with syrup, mixed, macerated. Add some tobacco and wear it, kind of a thing. A couple more things I want to say. As I was speaking about this, it's starting to remind me a little bit of Back to Black by Kilian. A little bit, not too much. This is an overdose of the honey, an overdose of the experience. It's a stronger experience, whereas compared to Back to Black, it's a subtle experience. It's more of a skin scent experience, not a screamer experience. This one is definitely a screamer, meaning it's a loud fragrance, but I felt like overall, as the longevity thing goes, I think it's not necessarily like an all-day experience, because the times I wore this, it went for about 6 hours, maybe pushing 7 hours, but it's kind of a toss-up between 6 and 7. It's a lighter wear. It doesn't last as long, but it screams and it's loud and it has massive projection when you first spray it. Now, every body chemistry is different, and I don't usually like to talk about performance and things like that, because people's bodies experiences and wears fragrances differently than mine. And sometimes I will say this stuff is beast mode, and somebody says this stuff is weak, and sometimes I say this stuff is weak and somebody says it's beast mode, so it's really not worth it. But I'm just kind of giving you a general idea of this, because I like to point out that it is a screamer of a fragrance when you first spray it. So it's a loud experience, and the sweetness can come off very, very overwhelming to some people that don't like sweet fragrances. But it doesn't have the longevity matching the loudness as you're first spraying it. Last couple of things I want to mention about this one, as I was going to say it up front and I forgot. It does remind me of a few other Dior fragrances, especially the Dior Privé or Maison Christian Dior fragrances. I feel like Francois Demachy, the perfumer, has a DNA he's created for the more recent releases. Not necessarily at the beginning, but at the beginning, the Dior Privé collection was originally done with different perfumers. You know, Francis Kurkdjian did Eau Noir, Annick Minardo did Bois d'Argent, and so on. So now, since then, when those launched in the 2000s, since Francois Demachy has become the in-house perfumer, I feel like there is a DNA now, and it's very, very prevalent, like noticeable with this, also with Santal Noir, also with Oud Rosewood. So I feel like there's a DNA running under there that I feel like Francois Demachy might be using, that he uses the base or the DNA and then puts the notes on top to create the fragrance. This could be totally false, but that's what I'm experiencing because that's reminding me of those two fragrances. Perhaps a few others like Purple Oud might be in there as well, but more with the sweeter ones, Oud Rosewood and definitely Santal Noir, have some reminders of this and vice versa. So I'm reminded of those fragrances, and to me it feels like it's a DNA thing where, you know, the perfumers use a certain DNA and then they build on it to create a new fragrance. So those are my thoughts on this one. I think it's definitely a great fragrance. It's a great release. I like the fact that it's reminding me of that Michael Kors Michael fragrance because I love that one. I wore so much of that in the early 2000s. Very, very, very loud fragrance at the time. And this one has its loudness, but I feel like this one doesn't have its longevity as that one did at the time. It's a little lighter, lesser longevity in comparison to that. But see, everybody's chemistry is different. Well, you might experience this one to be lasting all day on you. It did not on me. So I like the fact that it does remind me of that fragrance, and the whole fact that it's reminding me of Korrigan as well. Not sure why. Korrigan with its whole milky carameliness is very, very unique for that fragrance, for it to remind me of this fragrance. Either way, guys, those are my thoughts on Tobacolor. What are your thoughts about Tobacolor? Have you tried it yet? Do you like the sound of it? What do you think? Would you wait until the fall and winter to try this one, or would you try it now? I'd like to find out. And if you have the fragrance and you are enjoying it, please do let me know. Put a comment down. And lastly, if you're not enjoying it, also please let me know so I can find out who likes this, who might not like it. Because as I said, this might be a little overly sweet for folks that don't like sweet fragrances. I feel like the honey is really, really strong. It's a major honeyed experience. And then speaking of honey, honey can go a little animalic, and this does lightly go a little animalic. Musky, something like that is under there. Not overwhelming, just a little bit. Thanks so much for watching today's review on Dior Tobacolor. If you have any questions or comments, please do list below. Otherwise, please like this video, please share it, follow me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and I'll be back with more videos very soon. Have a good one. Goodbye.